Hello, viewers. It's a morning in here in Accra, Ghana. So I'll say good morning to you, viewers, joining us. Good afternoon to you, joining us. Good evening to you, joining us from wherever you're connecting to us over the world. My name is Ambassador Benjamin Osuansa, and I'm happy to host this event. It's a flagship program for African Seasoned Speakers Network, and then the Power Impact series is a program where we bring on board speakers all over Africa to motivate, encourage, and give hope to people of Africa to take up the flag of Africa and move forward. And this morning or this afternoon, this evening's session, I have with me a wonderful person that he's going to blow our mind this morning. He's going to take us to the next level. He's going to take us to another place. He's going to dive deeper into startups, what normally kills startups tactically in the first 5 years, and what has been his journey through his first 5 years to where he is now. In the studios with me today is no other person than a wonderful person I've cherished so much and I respect so much. Is Mr. Iaac Seki. Yet, so he is the one who's going to take us this morning to the next level. And then Iaac is such a wonderful person who is in the technological world. He's a Ghanaian entrepreneur, and then he's an engineer, founder of Sesi Technologies, a Ghanaian company that solves agricultural and food challenges. Yes, that solve agriculture and food challenges. He's known for his development of a moisture meter to help sub Saharan African farmers reduce post harvest losses. So he has a wealth of experience under his belt. So he's going to take us through this journey. So, welcome on the show, Mr. Iaac Sesi. Can you hear me, Mr. Iaac Sesi?
Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Glad to be here. Can you hear me? Can you see me fine?
I can hear you clearly. I can see you clearly, Mr. Sesi. All right, I can hear you. I can see you. So I just reading a little bit about you to the audience. So I mean, you are on the floor now. So Mr. Sesi, how are you doing this morning? It's a holiday in Ghana here. So how are you doing on this holiday morning? Yeah, Mr. Sesi, Iaac.
Yeah,
So can you hear me? Is it clear at your end
yeah,
now?
I can hear you now.
All right. So how are you doing
Yeah.
on this holiday morning?
Think I'm fine. I'm fine. For me, it's not a holiday because like I have like work to do. So you guys go ahead and celebrate your holiday. For me, it's not a holiday for me at all. Yeah.
All right. So already,
I
Isaac
hope you're
is
doing
giving
good,
us
though.
already. Isaac is giving us the itinerary of an entrepreneur. He said we should go ahead and celebrate our holiday. He has
Yeah.
a,
Yeah.
all right. So one may ask,
One of the misconceptions is that if you are an entrepreneur, you don't have to work 8 to 5. You can work anytime you want. I mean, you work less, etc. That's like one of the biggest myths and lies ever. You work more than everybody else ever.
wow, wow. So Isaac has started giving us the nuggets already. All right. So one may ask, who is Isaac? Who is Isaac? And who is Isaac?
Well, I am an innovator. I am an entrepreneur, and I am an engineer by profession. And
Okay.
I'm passionate about using technology to solve problems. Currently, I
Okay.
am doing so within the field of agriculture, where
Okay.
I run a company called Sesi Technologies that is looking to improve. agricultural productivity and reduce losses by providing and empowering farmers with affordable technologies. So, in short, I am a guy that is an engineer that is looking to use technology to solve problems in Africa.
Wow, wow. A guy that is using technology to solve challenges or issues in Africa. Well, and how long have you been in the industry, or how long have you been doing this?
Well, I have been running startups as far back as second or third year in university. So that's as far back as 2014. Even before that, I had run a few businesses, but I wouldn't call them like really technology related. But yeah, it was around 2014, 2015 that I started to get into this whole space of developing technology to solve problems.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then how's the technological field or industry in Ghana, for instance? In Ghana, you are in Ghana, so how is this landscape?
Well, it depends. It depends on the industry in which you are. Currently, we see that in certain industries, like say fintech, there is a lot of massive, quick adoption of new technologies. Everybody has their banking app on their phone. Everybody
Yeah.
is using mobile money. Everybody, like a lot of apps are coming out every day, day in, day out. And so you see a lot of rapid innovation and rapid technology adoption, and a lot of funding being sent to these areas. But then there are other more nascent fields like the industry in which I am, agri-tech, which is like generally more conservative, where people take a while to appreciate new technologies and new things. And so, yeah, depending on the industry in which you are in, the story could be different on how technology adoption is going.
But for you as an engineer and as an entrepreneur in the technological field, I think for you now you can easily say technology is the wheels on which all other industries run or move. So for you, you virtually have a bit of all the industries, if I should say that. Or how do you take that?
Yeah, that's true because Yeah, that's true because now if you look at uh, every industry, everybody is trying to figure out how to improve their processes, improve productivity using technology, and how to infuse technology into what they're doing. And so it represents a massive opportunity for everybody involved in technology out there, which is a good thing because now if you don't look at how to adopt technology to give yourself a competitive advantage or to keep up with the pack, you're going to be left behind. So um, it's people are being compelled to now start adopting technology.
All right. So thank you so much for just giving us a brief of it. Okay, so startups. What are some of the mistakes that almost killed you or almost killed startups that you've given that statistically in the first 5 years of startups, they can fold up? What are some
Yeah.
of the mistakes that you see startups entrepreneurs doing that can lead them to folding out?
Yeah. So the before then, let me define what a startup is, because this whole startup term is confusing nowadays and it gets
Okay.
thrown around a lot. Okay. Because everybody starts something and they say they are running a startup. Now the difference between a startup is not a small business or a big company that has just started. Now, the difference between a startup and, let's say, any kind of business or even a large company is the fact that when you are a startup, you are now you're solving a problem whose solution is not obvious. And you are trying to discover a business model that works. Okay. If you are running a restaurant, you are not a startup because the restaurant business model has existed for a long time. It works, it has been established, and your success depends on other factors because business model has already been established. If you are running a barbering shop or like a hairdressing salon or something, that business model has already been established. But if you are
Okay.
trying to create something new to solve an existing problem in a way where your solution is not obvious, where you have to start with like a hypothesis, try things and see see how they go, and then use that to see whether you're on the right path or not. That is, you're more in startup territory. And
Okay.
so yeah, I just want to make that distinction first. So based on this background, it's like sailing into the ship, like sailing on a ship into the ocean. There are a lot of things that could happen on the way. Your boat could capsize, you could hit an iceberg. You know, there's a lot that you don't know about, which makes sense that most people that are trying to create new things fail. And
Okay.
so yeah, a lot of analysis has been done on reasons why startup fail. I'm going to mention a few, and I'm going to talk about us in particular, the things that we got wrong that almost killed us. And so I'm just going to go through like the top, 5, 6 reasons why usually startups would fail. The first is that you run out of cash, like, and one one thing about startups, or depending on your industry, um, when you are trying to create something new, when you are trying to experiment, when you're trying to build a new product, you don't start making money immediately.
Okay.
I mean, depending on the industry in which you are, you don't start making money immediately. Okay, let's take Facebook for instance.
Ah.
Facebook
Okay. I think he will joining us shortly. We're having a little bit of a challenge, technical issue, but I think he's just going to join us shortly. That's this just the early parts or the earlier part of his presentation is even trailing already, getting to understand and getting the clear distinction for what a
Hello.
startup is. Yeah, hello, Isaac. Yeah, continue,
Yeah, can
sir.
you hear me
I can hear you, sir.
now? Yeah. So So Facebook did not start making money immediately. They spent a lot of money building the product, building the platform, growing the users before they started making money. Um, let's talk about other popular startup, Uber, like Bolt, all of these guys. You spend a lot of money building the product, testing the market,
Yep.
validating that you are solving a problem that people have, even before you start making money. Now, in the process, you can run out of money before you get to a point where people believe in what you are doing enough to either invest in you, or where
Yep.
you start making enough money to become sustainable. So, running out of money is the number one reason why many startups fail. Um, Now, number two reason why startups fail: building something no one likes. I mean, building something that people don't need, right? Especially for us in the engineering space, we come up with this crazy idea in our heads. I mean, let me think of something crazy. Um, I want to build. What if I could build a car that instead of um, you driving on the road, it would fly, and then in 10 minutes you are in Accra from Kumasi. It sounds amazing, it sounds exciting. It's not necessarily a bad idea, right?
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
it could work, it could work in a place like, say, Dubai, where everybody is trying to outclass the other with what the latest gadget is. But
Yeah.
in a place like Ghana, where most people do not, just a small percentage of the population have cars, even those cars they are buying them used. Like, who is going to buy your flying car? You get it? So just because you have this amazing idea in your head does not mean that people need the idea. I mean,
Okay.
people need that product, and people pay for things that they need. People pay for things that bring them value. So
Okay.
if nobody if nobody needs what you're trying to sell, no one is going to buy. So there is this app. It's you've probably not heard of it. It's called Kibi, QUIBI. So they were
QIBI.
like QUIBI. Now they were trying to be like Netflix, but they were going to focus on producing small, short videos. And then their idea was that people are going to, like, they were targeting young people, such that if you're on your way to school, you would want to watch a 10 minute short, like movie or short video or something. And then they raised several billions of dollars. Like these were the founders were people that were coming from like top executives. I think one was working in Disney. One was working. I mean, these were big people, and because of their credibility, they were able to raise billions of dollars. But in the end, they failed because in the end, they built something that nobody cared about. So building something people don't want or people don't need is one of the reasons why you are definitely going to fail as a startup.
Okay, so Isaac,
Now,
can I come in here? So Isaac, so how do you then know what people want so that you can build it for them because you're going to do it for the people?
mhm. All right. So there's always a process, right? There's a scientific process that accompanies building startups or building products, right? Now,
Okay.
um, it could come from many ways, or it could come from many areas. Maybe you are in an industry, or you have been working in an industry for a very long time. Based on
Okay.
that experience you have, you would have seen problems within that industry that
Okay.
you think that you can solve this problem. That could be one of the ways. It could be a personal challenge you have. That could be one of the ways. Now,
Okay.
at the point where you identify or you form a hypothesis that, okay, this is the problem that I want to solve, then you now start building the product.
Well, okay. Beautiful. So being in the industry and then identifying something of need in the industry is a power kick or is a spark to starting something which is going to be embraced or which people are going to love to purchase or going to love to use. So it can help you as a starter to bring something onto the market so it doesn't become like something that you feel it is really good that can be used, but when it comes onto the market, it's not going to have any market value, but that it's just going to something that's going to excite you as the developer. So Isaac is just letting us know that there are some ways or the other ways through which you, as a startup person, can bring up things that can be used for your startup or for your business or starting a new thing. So I mean that's a good point, well noted. I mean he said on the first point also as a startup person, you that gets people folding up or that killing startups. Example or the first point he raised was running out of money, the financial muscle of any startup. I mean he said you can have a good product or you can have a good idea, you can have a good thing that you want to come up with, but when the funding or when the money that you're using or going to use to do that business runs out, is a major blow. It's going to be a major blow for you to quickly kill startup or quickly fold up. And then he also talked about building the product. So he was giving an example of times that you can bring up or set up in the product. The timing is also very, very, very important. So, Mr. Isaac, yes, you can take over, and then we go. Thank you. Hope you can hear
Thank
me.
you. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Technology always has a way of misbehaving when you need it to work.
Yeah.
Yes. So, so,
Okay.
so another, I think I was talking about um,
Coming up with
I don't know if
the product, yeah, or identifying the product that
people don't need.
the market people would like. Yeah.
Mhm, yes. So then based on these background or experience that you develop in different areas, you are in a position to say identify a problem in that sector or form a hypothesis. Now, the next thing that you have to do is test that hypothesis through experimentation. So it involves doing your research, speaking to people that you believe have the same problem, find out whether they have the same problem, what solutions that they currently need, and what solutions they are currently using, if they have any problem with the existing solutions that they are using. For instance, in our case, we realized that after working in the post-harvest grain value chain, we realized that one of the problems was that farmers were having grains that were growing moldy because of high moisture content. They didn't have any way of accurately measuring the moisture content in their grains. And so they would, the way they were trying to solve the problem was that they would bite the grains, they would toss the grains, they would do all sort of things to try and estimate the moisture in the grain. So our proposition was that if we could develop um, a solution that was affordable, that was easy to use, farmers would be willing to purchase this solution to measure the moisture content in their grain so that they can reduce losses. That was the hypothesis that we went with. So we built a prototype, we tested it, we got feedback, and based on that, we built on it. So there's a whole process that is associated with coming up with something new or an innovation to solve a problem. You don't just get up and say, "Oh, I have this fantastic idea. Let me build it. People will buy." That is just
Yeah.
a recipe for disaster.
Right, 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 right. You don't just say you are building something just because you like it, but it's something that the person or the people you are developing it for will also cherish it or like it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the next thing is that competition, right?
Wow.
People are one of the reasons why startups fail is that they get outcompeted by um, other companies that are better funded or that are able to execute better. Now,
Okay.
before Facebook came, there were many social networks. There was High Five. Like, I mean, I remember as a kid, we're all on High Five. There was High Five, there was MySpace, there were all of these social networks, right? But
Yeah.
then when Facebook came, they eventually left. I mean, Facebook eventually put them out of business. I mean, there
Yes.
are companies that come and go all of the time. And even though in the beginning, when you're building something, competition is not something you should be so concerned about. It's still there. Competition um, is still there. Like people are out there looking at what other people are doing. And once they see that, okay, this guy, what he's doing, it looks like it can work. Let's see if we can do same. I mean, we have you start something or you build something, and the next day you see on the market, like the Chinese have built the same thing and it's 10 times cheaper than yours. So competition um is there, right?
Yeah.
There's also business model, right? Business model is how you put your product on, like how you make money, right?
Yeah.
For instance, if you know how Facebook makes money, you use their product for free, um, and then they show you ads, right?
Yeah.
Assuming Facebook had to charge everybody, let's say $10 for you to use Facebook, I don't think they would have gotten the numbers that are on
Okay.
Facebook, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
By
Sure.
choosing the freemium model, they were able to get critical mass and then show these people ads, right? And so your business model can determine whether you fail or not. One of the
Okay.
ways that people compete is through business model, right? So
Yeah.
maybe you see, let's take Spotify and let's say iTunes, right, or Amazon Music. Let's say
Okay.
um, Spotify charges, let's say, um, what, $9 a month, or Spotify's charge depends on which country you are in. If you are
Okay.
in a country like Ghana, you pay less. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say that Apple Music decides that we don't care. We charge $10 wherever you are. It could
Okay.
determine whether or not Spotify beats Apple Music, right?
Yeah.
And then there's
True.
Amazon. Amazon says that okay, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can get Amazon Music for free. And so um, there are different kinds of business models. Someone can decide to sell his product directly. Someone can decide to sell his products through distributors, through vendors. And if you are not able to find the right business model, you could fail. Let's say I have a product I'm selling through distributors. I send thousands of units to my distributors, and then they have to sell all before they pay me. And let's say COVID happens and now my distributors are out of business, they cannot pay me. It could cause me to lose, right?
Sure,
So
sure, definitely.
yeah, so these are one of the things that could and this business model also sort of leans into pricing, right? And
Okay.
pricing could be one of the reasons why you feel maybe you price too high or you price too low. So usually these are like the general reasons why startups fail. Maybe I want to touch on a few very specific ones that were related to my company, Sesi Technologies, or other companies that I have run in the past. And, it's been 3 years since I started running Sesi Technologies. There is no founder anywhere on this earth who says, I started my company, I made no mistakes, like I was perfect right from the start. Even founders who have previous experience running startups, they still make mistakes. They still
Okay.
make mistakes. Yeah. Um, but a good founder knows how to, realize that hey, we're making a mistake and catch themselves before it gets too late. Yeah. Sometimes, you make the mistake and then you're not able to recover from it. Now, for us, one of the biggest mistakes we made in the beginning was that we moved too slowly. We moved too slowly. Now, startups is a race against time. Like time is literally money. The more time it takes you to get to the point where you are sustainable, the likely or the higher the chances of you failing. Because while that time is going, you are spending money, you are
Okay.
paying salaries, you are paying employees.
Okay.
It's like you are money is going out of your company, but money is not coming into your company because you are not fast in figuring out how to bring money. And it was one of the things that happened to us. So in the beginning, we're trying to get this moisture meter into the market, and all of our focus and all of our
Yeah.
attention was the moisture meter. But one of
Yeah.
the things that it took us too long to realize is that adoption of new technologies take time. Adoption of new things take time. And so while we're trying to get more people to use our moisture meter or buy our moisture meter, one of the things we should have been doing is figuring out what people need now, what people
Okay.
could 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 purchase now, or what people were looking for now, where we
Now.
didn't have to spend time to convince them to purchase that thing. And in doing so, we would be generating In doing so, we would have. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mr. Isaac. Yeah, Sesi can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You
Yeah,
can hear you.
yeah. And in doing so, we would have been generating revenue while we were also looking to see how we could push the technology products that we're developing. Because one of the things it took me to learn is that in the agri space, people don't care about your technology. People care. people care about people care about what do I need now, what can help me now. Like it's the basic in agriculture is the basic things that work. So if you look at any of the biggest agri-tech companies in Ghana, mention them: Agro Center, Farmerline, Complete Farmer, all of the top agri-tech companies. If you look at what they are doing, you realize that they are doing basic things.
Okay.
They are doing very basic things, like providing fertilizer to farmers, providing weather information, um, buying grains from farmers, production. It's the basic things. You
Okay.
get it? So
Yeah.
it takes a while for people to adopt new things. And so you have to start from somewhere, start from what they know, start from where they know. And then now, gradually they begin to adopt your technology. But if you are so fixated on this is what I want to push to them, or this is what I want them to adopt. You realize that time is going, you are spending money, and before you realize you're out of money. And so, yeah, I feel like it took us too long. One of the mistakes we made is that it took us too long to realize that. Um, yeah. So, secondly, it took us too long to build the product, honestly. I guess it's for me, I think if I have to sum up all of our mistakes, I'll just say it took us too long to build to get stuff done. If I had to
Okay.
sum up all of the mistakes. Yeah. So for instance, in the product like this, I remember because this was a new product coming out of research and there were no like manufacturing companies in Ghana, we didn't know how to manufacture and all of that. Like we spent a whole year trying to figure out how to manufacture. And during that whole year, you are paying salaries. So yeah, before we had figured out how to finish building the product and even now start selling, we're like, hey, we are running out of money. What do we do? You get it?
Okay. Yes.
So then one mistake also was that we're fixated on um, building the product that we're not looking at the numbers, like how much are we spending every month, how much money is leaving the company, how do we reduce expenses, how do we reduce the the amount of money going out. Like, we're not looking at the numbers because we're like, oh, let's build this product. And as a founder, the biggest mistake you can make is not looking at your numbers. Not looking at your numbers. Yeah, every founder, one of the things that you have to be concerned about the most is look at your numbers. Look at your numbers. Yeah.
Look at your numbers. You should be concerned about looking at the numbers. So, I want to ask Mr. Isaac again, how do you now approach looking at the numbers? What specifically he's talking about? What specific numbers you supposed to look at? And I love this statement he made that startup is a race against time. So sometimes a startup person might think that this product is really what I love. So let's put it onto the market, and then you just develop it and put it there. But in that same vein, you are racing against time. Another competitor, which you might not even know or which you may know, is also coming up with something that the consumers love or they want. So you will be thinking that, yeah, this is what you have, this is what you need, and you'll be just waiting and then thinking you are wallowing in your glory, and the time you realize your competitor would have just come and kick you out of business. Just as you gave the examples, there were some years ago when we have the high fives. I mean, all of us or most of us had accounts with high five, and it just took some few minutes or few days, and then Facebook and then the rest came and kicked them out. Yeah. So, Mr. Sesi, thank you for giving us that point. I mean, any founder should look at the numbers. Any founder should look at the numbers. Now, I wanted to find out what numbers are we specifically talking about? What numbers?
I mean, for every business, the numbers that matter is different. Okay. But
Okay.
but for every founder, what you should be looking at is your revenue, your expenses. I mean, cash flows, your burn rate. Burn rate is simply how much money is leaving or how much money you're spending every month.
Okay.
You're looking at your runway. So runway is like how much time, based on how much you have, how much time do you I mean, how much time how many months or how many more years can the money you have in the bank sustain you? And if you see that that number is reducing, then you have to act quickly. Do I have to maybe reduce salaries a bit, cut expenses, maybe do the uncomfortable thing of having to um, let some people go, which is, I mean, a terrible thing, but sometimes you you have to cut one finger to save the whole hand, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so those are all things that you should be concerned about. Now, another mistake that we did was like we were not executing properly, right? So execution is important. As if you're starting at any point in time, you have to have a strategy that you are executing. You decide, okay, in Q1 of 2021, we are going to do so and so and so and so and so. We want to achieve so and so and so goals, and then you break that down into action plans of how you
Intend to
uh,
do it.
intend to do it. Right now, if you don't have that, every day you are coming to work, you are going, you are coming to work, you are going, you are busy always, but you are not achieving anything. And it's one of the things that happened to us, that we're not executing properly. We'll make plans, but 1 month later, no, there's no accountability. No one is following up on those plans. And if you find yourself in that space, then your time is limited. Your time is limited. Yeah. So execution is important. Strategy, every founder needs to be a good strategist. Like, no, I mean, your strategy does not have to be right all of the time, but when you decide based on whatever factors you consider that this is the strategy you want to execute, you have to be relentless in its execution. At the point where you realize that, okay, maybe this strategy is not working, you need to be able to come back to the drawing board and see, what are we doing wrong? What do we do next? Okay.
Okay.
And then that brings me to my next point, which is that one of the reasons that could kill your startup, or that almost killed us, was not pivoting quickly. Okay. Now, pivoting means that, let's say I decide that I want to sell tomatoes. And so I go and buy a bunch of tomatoes, and then I go to the market and I'm selling them. And I realize that actually the tomatoes are not going. No one is buying them. Pivoting means I come back and say, okay, if tomatoes are not going well, but the people that we are trying to sell tomatoes today are like, oh, it's onions we want, not tomatoes. Pivoting means that you come back and say, okay, instead of selling tomatoes, let's sell onions instead. So changing your strategy based um, on feedback or input, or like data that you are gathering from your previous execution, right? It's pivoting. And so if you do not pivot quickly enough when you realize things are not going well, it could be one of the reasons why you fail, or that is going to cause your company to fail. At this point, I've even lost count of the number of points I have mentioned. Now, for for companies or for startups that have co-founders, or for that are people coming together to um, form the company or to start the startup, one of the reasons, or one of the main reasons why these companies fail is a lack of mutual agreement among these founders. And just give me 20 seconds. I am taking a personal commercial break. I'll be right back.
All right. So as Mr. Sesi takes a commercial break, we will just hold on and wait for Mr. Sesi to come and continue with his presentation that he's doing. I mean, this is in depth. This is powerful things. He's letting us know, for starters, that we will not fall into the trap or the mistakes they made, that will not bring our startup down or bring our business down, but then to make it to just sail over it, because this is apport he's giving us real apport, so that we don't fall in that trace, that we will lose all that we gathering. Just this beautiful point. Even what he just did, he was able to pivot himself right away. He pivoted himself, so we have to make do with it. So he's now back. So Mr. Sessi, now after pivoting and doing what we want, now give us what we want.
Okay. So, like I was saying, uh, if you're starting a startup with someone, one of the biggest mistakes you can make that might kill you is the lack of mutual agreement among founders. Sometimes you're like, oh, I have this fantastic idea. I know this friend that can help me. So you go to your friend and you call him, you're like, oh, let's work on this. And then you just start working. You start working. In the beginning, nothing like, we are not making any money, right? So everybody is
Yeah.
just putting their best efforts. And now money starts coming, and someone is like, I've worked more than you. I need to get 70%, and you need to get 30%. And at that point, confusion starts to set in. Or someone feels like, let's go in this direction. Another person feels like, let's go in that direction. And then,
Uh-huh.
that leads to a lot of misunderstandings. bargaining and disagreements. Money is a very funny thing. When people start seeing money, they start becoming greedy. So, so the the worst place you can be is to be in a position where there were no sort of founders um, agreements, and then you start working. And so, one of the things you need to do if you're going to start a business with someone is to establish the terms of the relationship, how you are going to work, who is going to get what, how that is going to work, at what period. Like, there's a document called a founders agreement that
Okay.
anybody that is willing or that is looking to start a company with someone must sign with their co-founder or co-founders. And let me give this story. So I when I was in school, I was running this startup where we're developing some educational applications for university students. Now, we started as students in school. We're all in school, we're all building the products. We really didn't think about what happened after school. And
Yeah.
so, when we all graduated, we were four friends. The three of
Okay.
us were in 1 year. When we all graduated, then we were faced with the question of what do we do after here? And it turned out that at that point, everybody had different plans for their lives. And eventually, the startup had to fail because we couldn't come together, we couldn't agree on what direction we needed to go. And that could
Okay.
happen because, life happens.
Yeah.
You start dealing with someone, and then there's a development in their life that makes it such that they cannot continue anymore. So then that's why these kind of agreements are necessary, so that when those times come, you know what to do. And so if you don't have a if you get to a point where you are having founder disputes, maybe, and one person decides to leave, and that person is a critical part of what you're building, the thing is going to fail. And it's one of the reasons why startups fail. Yeah.
Okay. 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 Founders agreements, the mutual agreements.
Hmm.
Yeah. It should be a
Yeah.
key part. It should be a key part for status for startups, so that,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, going forward, if any uncertainty happens, the company can run, and it will not just be tilted
Yeah.
or on the shoulders of a sole person. All right. All
Hmm.
right. All right. All right. All right.
And then just moving on from the founders, or like having the right kind of founders. One of the things that could kill you also is not having the right team. Not having the
Okay.
right team, because
Okay.
as a startup, your best assets are the people within the company, especially at the very early stage. Your most important asset is the people within the startup. If you have the wrong team, the wrong team is going to cost you time, it's going to cost you money, and it's going
Yeah.
to
Hmm.
your the rate at
Good.
the rate at which you crash, right? So
Sure.
yeah, so if you have to go if you have to go in this direction, if you have to execute this strategy, and then you do not have the right people executing that strategy, you are paying them, they are costing you money. At the same time, all of the time that they are not working is costing you. Even if eventually you decide to say you are not the right person, let me fire you and bring someone else on board. I mean, you've lost time, you've lost money, and
Yep.
that is like really something that you want to avoid. So hiring right team
It is.
is or bringing on board the right team is important. Now, but finding the right team is not science, it's art, right? You go and interview someone, the person impresses you, they say all sort of things, they have all of the relevant experience, and you bring them on board and they don't perform. So, while there are things you can do to minimize the chances of hiring the wrong person, sometimes you just have to be lucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, unfortunately, if you don't have the right team, um, you're going to fail.
Okay.
So another reason also is that I think I caught you talking about timing, right?
Yes, the time.
Timing is important. If you launch a product at the wrong time, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Um, there's some products that came. I'm trying to remember. There's some products that were launched that were too early for their time, and they didn't see massive adoption. But now they are seeing a lot of adoption. I think
Yeah.
Snapchat tried to launch this spectacles, and
Okay.
no, not Snapchat.
Okay. So whilst we still wait for Mr. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Isaac, can you hear? Right, I think. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Google tried to launch these like smart spectacles that
Yeah.
some years ago Google tried to launch
Yeah.
these smart spectacles that had a camera and a few other things, and then it failed. And now, I mean, a few years down the line, Facebook and Luxottica, one of the biggest eyewear brands, are partnering to launch this, and it's seen a lot of promise. And so sometimes just the time that you launch your product um, could determine whether it fails or not. Obviously, another thing that will cause your startup to fail is if your product is poor. I mean,
Okay.
people can differentiate between good quality and bad quality. The thing about poor products, especially depending on the industry in which you are, is that if I buy a product and it's poor and I hate it, I'll tell my friend that this product is not good, and my friend is never going to buy it, even if my assessment is true or not. Because like if you
Yeah.
call me like Charlie, I see this thing, I won't buy some. I see say you they use some Charlie, that thing good. If I tell you the thing is not good, will you go and buy? No.
I
Even
will
if
not there.
yeah, even if I was lying to you, you still take my word for it because you trust my judgment. And so if
Exactly.
you come up with a top quality product, like you're shooting yourself in the leg. It's better um to spend the time to build something that is great than to rush to market and build something that is poor. Um yeah. So I think that these are like quite a number of reasons that could cause startups to fail. There are just so many more, but these are the top reasons that I have identified. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. All right. All right. This is interesting and impressive. Some of the things that you easily let them pass. You let them go without knowing that they are key ingredients in a startup. Okay, so you were talking about and getting the right crop of people to form your team. That is virtually based on being lucky on the market, because sometimes you get people who have really packaged well. The package is good, but delivery becomes a problem. So so that one is not really clear on that side. It's just that you just be lucky to find the right people to fit in, and then in doing that, isn't it also accumulating into the timing, which earlier on you have said that the startup is a race against time? Is that one also not really going to affect your time? Because now it's more or less like you are having a try and error kind of situation. So let's try this guy to see if you is there a formula, or is there a way that we can spot on get the right composition of the team aside being lucky?
Yeah. The startups are a race against time, as I said. There's a lot of try and error, but there are good ways to do try and error, and there are terrible ways to do try and error, right? And and a good ways to do try and error is to move fast, right? You try something, you want to when you are trying something, you want to validate specific assumptions, right? For instance, you can experiment with price. You can ask yourself, okay, for the next 1 month, we want to see whether how people feel if we sell this thing for 500 cities. So you price it at 500 cities, see how people feel. And maybe it doesn't work. In the next month, you try something else, right? That's a good way to do try and error in testing out
Okay.
things like pricing. Okay. Now, when it comes to hiring people, personally, I think that if you're an entrepreneur, one of the best
Well, you have to keep on changing or trying new ways of doing things as an entrepreneur because you starting up and you wouldn't really want to lose everything or want to kill yourself or kill the whole business. So one of the things you need to do is quickly or adapting faster to new things so that you keep on track, so you keep on moving, you don't really stuck at one particular place at all the time and then thinking you're going to be lucky with the composition of your team. But trying new things at new times or at times will help you move faster because from what Mr. Sesi is saying, some of the things that really um, could have killed them in their early stages was not being able to try new things, because the thing is that you have your composition of your team and then they are not performing, they are not meeting up the set goals or the targets you've set, and then you still be waiting on them thinking you're going to have a better time for a turnaround. It's saying that startups are racing against time. Everything is time bound, everything that they are doing is time bound. So when you keep withdrawing or you keep delaying, you keep moving at a slower pace, you're going to fold up. He gave an example of it some years ago when Google were trying to bring these digital spectacles. At the time that a previous company brought it out, it was of no use. I mean, people were not interested in that product, so it didn't fly. It didn't make waves on the market. But Google has come again and has partnered with another company, and they've brought this product onto the market. It's timing, and now everything is technologically built up, so everything is moving towards that side. Everything is tilting towards technology. So bringing it at this time is very, very necessary and very, very needed at this point in time. Whilst everything is moving on to Internet of Things, so bringing in this product at this particular time makes sense. So now Google is making waves with this new technology or this new product that they brought about, and I'm sure while proud to that, there had been the right composition of a team that were doing their research, that were thinking through this whole product and the strategies to set it up. And I think it has just hit getting the right team, getting the right company, or getting the right partner that can come on board and then share the idea or share the vision with them, and then they can hit on. So I'm sure getting the right team is a key point and is a key thing, as Mr. Sesi was saying. So Mr. Sesi, getting the key people to form the team, as you're saying, is the right thing. It's a major thing for startups. Yeah. Yes, sir, Mr. Sesi, I can see you now and I can hear you. I hope you can hear me.
okay. So yeah, I can hear you. So what I was saying was
All right.
that as an entrepreneur, one of the as a founder, one of the most important skill you need to have is networking. Um, how to network, how to meet people, how to look for people, how to find people. Now,
Networking.
my in our company, yes, most of the people in our company were people that came through recommendations, right? People that
Okay.
were recommended to me through my networks. So
Okay.
one of the ways to minimize the risk of um, you know having people that don't do the job. Because if I come to my friend and I'm like, hey, I have this role I want to fill. Do you have anybody that you can recommend to me? I believe that you as my friend is not going to recommend someone who is terrible because your reputation is at stake. If you bring someone and the person comes to misbehave, you, my friend, your reputation is at stake.
Exactly.
And so if you are recommending someone to me, I
Exactly.
trust, or I am trusting that this person, you believe that this person can do the job. And that's one of the ways to find people that might be a good fit for that role. So that you are basing on the fact that someone within your network knows that person and thinks that person is a great fit. So
Yeah.
so you realize that out there and say, okay, people should apply for this job. It means that I have gone and looked through my network to see if I can find someone suitable. If I cannot, that's when I go out there and
You've really done your checkup, and you know who you're going to recommend for the person who is requesting for that, because already your integrity is at stake, your friendship with the person is at stake, so you don't want to mar that kind of relationship and don't want to spoil your integrity with the person that is requesting for the person to fill in that position. So it's also good. So networking is a key point. You need to have a relevant and fruitful network so that each person in your network, when you need the right people, they can be of help at the moment of need, so that they give you the right people to form your team, and then you don't waste much time, but you quickly move on, and then what needs to be done will be achieved as a startup person or as an entrepreneur. So these are beautiful points, and these are worth sharing with us this day or this morning on this episode, which is a special edition, a special episode today. Learning ways in which startups cannot be killed or will not be killed due to some of the mistakes that entrepreneurs do make within their first years. And then Mr. Isaac Sesi is a wonderful entrepreneur who's been in the field and has been doing this for some years now. I mean, they've been able to develop a moisture meter which helps farmers to get the moisture content of their produce. I mean, to prevent post-harvest losses. And I like one of the example he gave. He said, "Proud today developing this technology." The farmers, when they wanted to check the moisture content in a let's say a grain of maize or stuff, they used to bite. They used to bite the maize to check the moisture content. Wow. And they saw a need there, and then they have come up with this meter which can do that. I mean, it's a relevant product in a time, in set time. All right. So thank you, Mr. Sesi. Yeah, you were on the point of networking, having relevant network, and then they recommending to you the right people because of their integrity and because of their friendship with you as well. Yeah, thank you. That's where you left off, sir.
Yeah. So basically, to answer that question, I would say that build your network. If you build a network, even if you cannot find people in your immediate network to fill that role, you would be able to find people within your network who can recommend other people. And I was saying that before I go out there to put out a call for a job application, I would have looked through my network to see if I can find someone suitable. If I cannot, that's when I go out there and I put out call for job application. And for us, so far so good. Even though we've had a couple of people that join our team that turned out to not be a good fit, most of the people that have joined our team turned out to be a good fit, which is a good thing for us. Yeah.
Good, good. So for you, the lucky part plays well for you.
So there's an element of luck, and there's
Lucky
an
there.
element of
Credible and
of
relevant network.
yes, because sometimes you find the right people and you realize that you cannot pay them because you are still small.
Yes, that comes to that question. So how do you work around it, getting the right people, and then the demands? I mean, I mean, the expectation is too high. You can't pay them. Do you have a way of kind of coming to a compromise or coming to an agreement with them? Because at your stage, you don't have that huge muscle to do that, but you've gotten the right people, and then their demands are way off what you have on your table. How do you go about it? How do you do that?
The truth of the matter is nothing replaces money. Like people say things like passion and culture and all of that thing. Nothing replaces money, right? That's the
Yeah,
that's the truth of the matter. And if you're a small company, unfortunately for you, like there are just some people you cannot hire because you cannot pay them. Period. There is absolutely nothing you can do
nothing you can
about
do.
it, right?
Okay, okay,
Now, what is the next best thing for you? The next best thing for you is to find people that are at a point in their career where they feel like I have the passion, I have the zeal, and I want to build experience. And I feel like your company would be a good place. Maybe I want to go to Google eventually, but I feel like um,
in the
your
start.
company is a good place to start from to build the experience and to build the skills and all of that I need to get to Google, right? So for those people, they are not looking at just the money, they are also looking at, does this opportunity afford me, or does this job afford me the opportunity to also grow my skills and grow my experience so that I can advance in my career? Those are the kind of people that you can uh, you can attract once you position yourself as a place where, okay, if you are ambitious, you want to go here, you want to go there, and you are looking for a place where you can grow, where you can get your hands dirty, doing things and really build yourself up and have a support system, then come to us. You can position yourself in that manner, and then you attract people. I mean, I've one of the things that has worked for me is storytelling, really being able to tell the story of our mission in a way that is compelling and that attracts people. And so I'm there, and I have people that are reaching out to me. I know that naturally I will not be able to pay this person, but sometimes they are not looking for a full-time job. They just want to volunteer. They just want to help out. They just want to
Okay,
just contribute their knowledge because they believe in what you are doing, right? And
okay,
so those are some of the ways to attract the kind of, I
okay,
mean, attract good people, even if you may not be able to pay them. The people to avoid in your startup is people that are just looking to earn a salary. They just want to be like human robots. Tell me what to do and let me do, because in the beginning of your startup, you don't need um you don't need people that are just waiting for instructions, because I mean we're still all figuring out what we want to do as a company, and so everybody has to bring their mind on board, come up with ideas, do things. Like someone will say, I am the administrator, I am not paid to do sales, so I'm not going to do, that's not the kind of attitude you want, right? You want
okay,
the attitude of someone who is like, okay, this is the vision, this is the mission, this is what we have to do going forward. Even though I'm the admin guy, I see an opportunity, I bring it up to the sales team. I'm like, hey, how can we close this deal? You get it? Those are the kind of people that you are looking at. So while you may not be able to attract the very top people because you just cannot pay them, and they are at the point in their career where your startup is not attractive to them, you can attract people that are looking to really get to the next stage of their career, that are passionate about what you are doing, and that are willing to work. And those people are going to see beyond the money.
wow,
But
wow.
the truth of the matter is, money answered on nothing big.
So he's doing that. I mean, your packaging is also relevant. How you package your story to tell it, because that's when somebody at that level who is not really interested in the salary you are giving him or her, but having the passion and the willingness and eagerness to support or bring on board their expertise because of the story you've been able to tell. So the
Yeah,
packaging of the story is also an asset to attracting the
Yeah.
right crop of people. Okay, so
One,
a
you
question
have
that
to make sure that whatever you are saying out there is what is actually happening. I mean, you cannot go and be saying nice things and then
okay. You really telling the story and not trying to embellish it so that it will be appealing to people, but you are telling your true story, the real things, the facts of who you are and what the startup is. That yeah, yes, I think it's clear. All right, so a question for you. It says, how can you raise capital to start a business? Money answers all things.
yeah, that's a whole 2 hour discussion on its own, honestly.
All right.
Yeah, that's a whole 2 hour discussion on its own. I mean, there are different ways, depending on the kind of business you're running, depending on the industry in which you are, depending on what you want to do. There are different ways that may be suitable to raise money for your business. Typically, the range of options include starting with your own personal savings, um, family and friends,
Okay.
uh, you know, loans,
Okay.
which you should be very careful about. Startup competitions, venture funding,
Okay.
government programs like the NEIP and other
Okay.
support initiatives, other
Other avenues as well. So means the individual needs to do an extensive research into these areas before they do this, they take the step or before they step in. It's also part of it. I think the individual research also plays a key role or plays a key part. So I get the point Mr. Isaac is giving us, is raising. So yes, this has been a wonderful session. This has been a good session. It has been informative, very, very informative for startups. So we don't make those mistakes that the pioneers did. So now we want to write upon the the alternatives that they did or they used when they were starting to make sure we get straight onto the path. Whatever be the case, we will have some challenges will come along, or some challenges or some obstacles are going to come along. But then with this information and these things that has been shared with us by Mr. Isaac Sesi from Sesi's Technologies, the things they phrased when they started, it's really going to help us move quicker and faster than we would think of. So yes, sir. Thank you for getting back again. Yeah, I mean, it's good. We are racing against time, so we not to miss time at all. So it's good for us. It's good for us. Yeah. All right.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think we will need another opportunity so that you will really take us through how to raise the capital to start a business, because that, I mean, is going to be really intense, and you're going to deal with us from your experience and other experience, because I know you're not running only this company. I know the other companies that are part of it. So you share with us the challenges and then the experiences that you come through. So what are your last words that you want to say to startups or entrepreneurs who are watching us this time? What are some of the nuggets you want to give to them?
Hmm. Well, so my final thoughts are that if you want to be a startup, if you want to found a startup, the truth of the matter is it's difficult. The odds are against you, and the sad truth is that you are more likely to fail than to succeed. However, there are some good ways to fail, and there are some dumb ways to fail. You have to be careful going in there, knowing that this is a race against time. be conscious of that fact from day one. Uh, Before you go into it, look at what other people in your field are doing. Startups that have failed, look at the reasons that they failed and try to avoid those pitfalls. If it works out, good for you. If it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. Pick yourself up and then um, move on to the next thing. But no matter how hard it is, the process of building a startup is really uh, it brings you a lot of joy. You learn a lot. You
Exactly.
build networks, you build connections, and it's a fun process. It's a fun process. So yes, all the best, and yeah, I wish you success, and I
Success.
wish things
It's a fun process. I love that because when you don't have the fun part, you don't love it. I'm sure in the
everything will
few
feel frustrating to you.
exactly because when you start meeting the challenges, you just give up. Okay, so it has to be fun. It has to be made fun,
Mhm.
right? So aside the moisture meter, what other things do Sesi technologies offer, or what do they do? Yeah, hello, Mr. Isaac. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
asking
yeah.
aside the meter, the moisture meter, what other things do Sesi technology offer?
So we have a range of technology products and solutions as well as services we provide for farmers. So aside the moisture meter, we have a warehouse monitor to help warehouse managers monitor the climate within their warehouses. We have
Wow.
a soil monitoring system that will tell you the nutrients in your soil as well as give you recommendations on what inputs you need and what crops to grow well in that soil. We are also developing a couple of technologies that I can't mention yet. When it comes to smallholder farm, we provide a range of services from threshing, drying, warehousing, storage, market access, just to help them reduce losses, increase productivity, and not struggle to um, really find the basic solutions they need to improve their produce.
Wow. So I mean, I love the way you've moved into the agricultural space, coming with what soil meter and then warehouse meter. So it checks the temperature or
Temperature,
what is
humidity,
humidity.
equilibrium, moisture content, a number of parameters.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's beautiful. I mean, I just don't know what to tell you again. because because yes, this is relevant things that are needed at this time, and then you've hit it right on top of the head of the nail. I'm really impressed, and we want to say we really appreciate your time, really appreciate um the information you share with us, and we don't take it lightly for you being with us this time. Many would have messed it up without knowing this truth about startups, but you have really said or given us a story as it's supposed to be. You've given us a pictorial view of setup or startup, and I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled. I love the information you've shared. I've loved the experience, and then for the network we've shared now, people that are around here, all the viewers that are viewing now, I'm sure networking is a solid ingredient to you as a startup person so that you can get people like Mr. Isaac Sesi on your back or in your food to guide you through, which he has done this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending on wherever you are joining us this morning. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac Sesi. It's been a wonderful time. I really love everything you're doing, and we want to wish you all the best. We want to
Thank
wish you
you.
all the best in your upcoming products, in your upcoming, I mean, products you're bringing onto the market. And we want to assure you that you are our next technological icon that we're going to look up to. So there is no way you're going to fail. There's no way you're going to let the challenges bring you down, because you are an icon we're looking up to and we are following up to. So thank you so much. God bless you. God bless the work of your hands. God bless you with a good team, and God bless you with more ideas for the youth of Africa to look up to and also forge ahead in making these things happen in their life. So on behalf of the team from African Seasoned Speakers Network, we say thank you, all viewers, for joining us for this episode. It has been a thrilling episode, it has been an informative episode, and then we look forward to seeing you again this Sunday, 7 p.m. GMT, to have another wonderful experience and a wonderful time with our guests that will be coming on the program. So, thank you for joining us. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. My name has been Ambassador Benjamin Osuansa, serving you as a host for this morning's show. Thank you so much. Have a lovely time.